Hi everybody, my name is Jakub, and I'm gonna be giving you probably one of the first presentations of this course. It's a very short introduction to game-based learning and educational game design. Um, yeah, so let's get right to it. To introduce myself, I am a co-CEO of Impact Games, one of the partners in the Learn to Play for the Future project. And our organization basically produces educational games, and then we run a platform called Game Factory, which distributes and delivers these games to teachers and schools in Slovakia, Czechia, and in a wider European space. Yeah, so let's talk about game-based learning and educational game design. Okay. Um, so why are we here? I usually have an interactive discussion with my students when I do this presentation. This is not going to be interactive, but you're probably wondering why you are here, right? Okay. You probably do have some ideas in your head, but this is basically why. Almost all people in Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and millennials play games. Even, uh, you know, even people above 60 play games, around 50% of them. So, gaming industry is huge. There has never been as many games published as right now. The gaming industry is bigger than music industry and film industry combined. So we are now part of something very big and very popular. In contrast to that, schools are very unpopular among teenagers. Only 7% of teenagers have internal motivation to learn. So that's why we're here. I think games, and we think games can offer very much added value for school contexts. So, and that's why we're here. Okay. Why do we enjoy learning with games? You probably have your answers. There's some answers that I'm gonna give you here. Nothing revolutionary. Gaming is fun, so even if you learn in a game and it's still, interesting, you're having fun. Basically, games are designed as a learning machine, so you do have to learn the rules and learn what works with what. So it is learning per se. Games induce flow. We're going to talk about flow in a little bit. Um, but basically, we enjoy it when we succeed and improve. Games provide instant feedback in context, so they never just leave you hanging and, wondering, did I do well in a test or am I doing well in this subject? Games give you instant feedback. There is interactivity and experiential learning in games. And basically, games are based on voluntary participation, so you don't have to play. Uh, how does this compare to schools? Think about it for a minute. Do you have fun, flow, instant feedback, experiential learning and interactivity, and voluntary participation in schools? If yes, you do have a very good schooling system. If not, we have work to do and some good educational game design to do. Okay, so basically, this is a diagram showcasing flow. Flow is this, tunnel that is growing where game gives you challenge high enough or difficult enough that you see it challenging, but not low enough that you see it boring. So games basically what flow is, and flow in games is that games offer you challenges which are above the boredom state and below too challenging state. So you're somewhere in between. It's something doable, not too easy, not too hard. The task is presented to in this way, and when task is presented to in this way, you're able to enjoy flow. This is what good games do. This is what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi found out that helps with learning and with any activity. Um, so yeah, check out his book. It's very interesting. Anyway, this is what flow looks like. This is actually a photo series of different people uh, playing games, having different emotions while playing games, while being present in the flow state. This is in a facial expression series. This is what we want to bring to schools with games. Okay, let's go through some history and key concepts. Um, Even animals play. Just look at kittens. If you have some around, you'll confirm this. Even 5,000 years ago in China, people have been learning via play. This is an example game of that. I forgot its name, but if you Google it, you'll most likely find out. Um, chess is old, and chess has been used for developing strategic and critical thinking among people for centuries now. Um, Maybe you know Kriegspiel, a strategic board game, basically, that has been used by German generals to learn strategic thinking and strategic thinking in context of a battleground. Maybe you know Oregon Trail, which is basically a game about history of colonization of the, you know, uh, region of the United States by Europe. And you definitely know Minecraft and Minecraft education that has been very strongly promoted by Microsoft in recent years. Um, right, so this is short history of educational games. Maybe you know some of them. I definitely advise you to look them up if you haven't. Okay, we have already talked about flow, so since it's you, one more definition of flow. It's a mental state of deep focus and enjoyment where learners are fully immersed in a challenging but achievable activity. The challenging but achievable, that is important. You're having fun because it's not too easy, but it's not too hard, so you can achieve the goal. When you're doing an activity like that, you're gonna lose yourself, you're gonna lose track of time, and you're gonna feel motivated to continue. What game-based learning is, basically, you can read the definition, but it's basically redesigning of content, of learning content. So it's learning content packaged as a game. That is game-based learning. What gamification is learning process packaged as a game. So you pick elements of games like points, badges, levels, challenges, and you implement them in a classroom. But it's not a game per se. You're just, having a pointing system or badges system. It's basically innovation in terms of learning process or teaching process. So game-based learning is innovating the content of learning, and gamification is innovating the process of learning. Many people uh, mix these concepts together. Doesn't really matter, but since you're at the university, you're gonna have it right. Okay, educational game design is the most obvious thing. It's the process of designing a games of which the primary objective is learning. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to actually designing your own game. So what do you need to consider before you design an educational game? Design, so you will need to consider four things. Let's go through them quickly. First is target group. So who are you designing for? Second is what do you want your students to learn? Is it knowledge? Is it skills? Is it empathy? Is it action? What is it? How do you want students to feel? What type of experience do you want them to have? And what should the students do in the game? So what should the gaming experience look like? Yeah, so we should explore these questions. So first, what are you designing your game for? So the target groups. Doesn't matter who you're designing your game for, but be as precise as possible. So people learn at all stages of life. So It doesn't matter who you create your game for, but be as precise as possible. So is it elementary school? What what grade? Maybe what subject? And be as specific as possible. Okay. What do you want students to learn? Do you want them to learn any skills? Do you want them to learn empathy, knowledge, action? You also need to think about what they already know uh, before they are playing your game. Then ask yourself a question, what knowledge should the player take away? What skills should she learn? Who should the player learn to empathize with? What habits should she adopt? Is there anything she should unlearn? Give yourselves answers. Your game does not have to answer all of these questions, so you can focus on one of them. So you can focus your game, obviously. But yeah, pick something. So this is, for example, Oregon Trail. And Oregon Trail is a very good game that teaches some facts. So it is based on, it's a learning game that teaches facts um, about colonization of the United States by Europeans, basically. Fortnite. You don't usually think about Fortnite as a learning game, but it is a game that teaches students a lot of quite useful skills. So cooperation, communication, agility, orientation on a map, etc. This War of Mine, which basically teaches empathy with people who are civilians in a civilian conflict. So this game is focusing on empathy building. Um, Pokemon Go, you probably know Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Go is designed to induce a certain behavior among its players, so a certain action of going outside, meeting other people, and catching Pokemon. Um, you can also focus on how do you want students to feel, right? So uh, these both games, both Alba and Plasticity, are games about um, ecology, but Alba is taking, uh, at least visually, it's taking a more approachable, a more fun, colorful, optimistic tone, whilst Plasticity is more darker and more grim. Yeah. So do you want your subjects, your players feel more optimistic or more introspective, let's say? You can design that experience. Again, you can lead your players to adopt a certain attitudes while playing your game. Do you want to design a game about conflict as a this war of mine, which focuses on life of civilians, or do you want to design a game like Call of Duty where you're having fun shooting people? Uh, right? It's both games are about war, but each of the games shows a different aspect of war. So you can frame what attitudes your players will, have to take by what you but by what type of game you make. Okay. And what do you want players to do when playing? Do you want to have fun? Do you want them to move? Do you want them to laugh or cry? It's basically what we already talked about, but yeah. So you're basically designing the magic circle. You're designing your own world, by designing your game. You're basically having your subjects, or you can lead them. You can control how they function in your game. So all these things that we mentioned now, you're in control. So you can uh, puzzle together the type of experience and type of learning that you want to give people. It's quite fun. Okay. So these have been some things that you need to consider before designing a game, or give it a thought, set it up, and then you are ready to get to level 2 and start designing step by step. So don't forget, you probably won't, but don't forget that these are the main elements of games. So game has a mechanic or number of mechanics. Each game should be set up so that players participate voluntarily. You are not making your subjects play your game, they want to. And games should have fun. Yeah, that's key. So mechanics, games are voluntary and fun. Okay, I mentioned game mechanics. They're broken down here. You probably are gonna do your own research and probably know game mechanics by now. So here are just some examples. I'm not even gonna name them. You can see them in the presentation. Nothing revolutionary. Obviously, you'll be using game mechanics when designing your games. Okay, so now we're designing. Step one when designing a game is to familiarize yourself with the topic. So you're designing a learning game, so it's good to check up where in the curriculum does it have space. Uh, at least we approach designing learning games by checking curricula here in Slovakia, in Czech Republic. Is the game actually, is the topic actually taught in schools? What do teachers need to teach the kids by the curriculum? Okay, so when you have this topic, you check the curriculum. What is the essence of the topic? What's the main thing that the students or your players should learn? What is the key message, key knowledge, key skill? What's key in that topic? Then also check for what is interesting in the topic. What could be fun to know about? What could be fun to try out in a game setting? Um, so essence of the topic, what is interesting in the topic, and look for a system. Look for some connections of actions and reactions in a system. So, um, for example, in a world of climate change, there's a lot of actions and reactions. It's a very game based uh, environment, so to say. You can make a lot of games there, but chemistry, physics, mathematics, like history, it's all very action reaction based events happening there. So these systems is something that you will be trying to exploit. So look for a system that you want to exploit and gamify basically, or make into a game. All right, so in step one, look at the topic from different angles that are uh, that are here on the slide. Then step two, set your learning objectives. We have been talking about learning objectives already. You have thought about them before you started designing a game. So now set the objectives more concretely. Think about what learning objectives you want for your game, what emotional objectives, if any, what attitudinal objectives, if any, or behavioral objectives, if any. You can combine these, you can pick one, and specify it. Doesn't really matter, but definitely make it clear. Okay, step three, uh, check games that already exist. This can be games about similar topic. It can be games with a different topic or talking about different things, but with the game mechanics that you want to use. And obviously, if you're working in a team or are probably going to work on it in a team, Share your own game experiences that you had with different games. Share experiences that you had with games you enjoyed. Um, Remember, nothing is original, obviously. We definitely feel free in this course to copy and use what has worked in other games in our own games. So, no worries about that. Okay, and step four, this is the last step. You basically prototype and test. So, uh, in steps one, two, and three, you basically created the concept of the game, and then you have this, concept which is maybe in a Miro board or in Figma or somewhere, and now you can make it into a first prototype of a game. So maybe it's a digital game, maybe it's a board game. Create a first prototype and basically create a prototype which is a core of your game, and then test it. If the core of the game works, add to it, create a new prototype, which is a bit better, bit more, it's a bigger game, and test it again. Ideally, test it within your team, but also with your target group, ideally, if you have access to it. And then just apply the feedback from your testers, implement it into the new build of the game, and prototype again, build the game again, then test it again. You know how this goes. It's prototype and test. Um, you do this as many times as the time allows you. Uh, Ideally, within this course, you do this at least once. So you have the testing experience. It would be ideal if you could test your game not only among your peers in your team, but also with the target group that the game is designed for. Um, and once you are ready, you can start crowdfunding, publishing, delivering the game to your target group. You basically do have your game now. So, hooray. Okay, here are some further reading notes and my contact. If for some reason you want to contact me, feel free. Um, and now just wishing you good luck designing your games. I'm really looking forward to what comes out of the course in XAMK. So good luck and take care and see you later.